My name's Liss, and I'm the Director of Planning and Development for Monroe County. Proud to work for the county executive. And I'm joined here by Josh Peterson. Hi, Josh.
Well,
Josh
good
is,
afternoon.
good afternoon. Josh is with our law department. There's important legal considerations for applicants and for the county throughout this process. So that's why it's important. Josh is part of the discussion. And then behind the scenes here today, Julie Visca on my team is on today's call. She's going to be helping me quarterback this program. Some of you on the call today, many of you on the call may likely have applied last year, and you would have dealt with BJ Scanlon. Um, BJ worked in the county executive's office, and the program has since passed from the county exec's office into planning and development. We're all really excited for BJ. He got a great new position working for the libraries. So we kind of still get to work with him, but in a different capacity. So but the Department of Planning and Development does a lot of work that's similar to the administration of this program. So I think, we're a good home for it. And hopefully you'll have a good customer service experience working with us. So now that I've gone through some introductions and thanks, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and run you guys through the website here. And I apologize for being kind of a not super good at technology today, but let's see. Okay, I've got the website pulled up on my screen, and then I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I am screen sharing now. This is the URL dedicated to the festival funding program on the monroecounty.gov website. It's monroecounty.gov/festival funding. You're all on today's webinar, so thank you for registering. The press release came out announcing the application portal a week ago today, and the applications close on Friday. I think it's a Friday, April 4th. Let me just double check. Friday, April 4th, I believe. This is where the application lives. Before I go through the frequently asked questions and the application, I'll give you a little bit of context. So, as many of you know, Monroe County, Greater Rochester, we're kind of affectionately referred to as a festival town. There are so many vibrant and fun and engaging, publicly accessible festivals and events that really enrich our communities. And for a number of years, Monroe County has supported different events in varying capacities through different avenues, but there was no systematic program that existed within county government for us to cast a really wide net and make sure that we were really supporting as many of these programs as we could, and considering all of the different diverse programs in our communities. So under County Executive Bello, he worked with the team to innovate and create this new process a couple of years ago. So we're still technically in our early stages, but this process has made things a little bit easier for county groups to get involved and get support from the county government for their events. And it's also allowed the county to get involved in events that in the past we perhaps didn't even know existed. So I'm going to run through the frequently asked questions, and we're going to talk about the application as well. And if anybody has a question during the course of my remarks, I think you have an opportunity to raise your hand and type something in the chat as well, and I can address those questions as we go along. So I'm going to start with the FAQs. As I mentioned, we opened up the portal last Friday, and it is open and available to you through Friday, April 4th. So just about a month. and we were a little lagged from where we were last year because of that passing of the baton from the county exec's office into planning and development. We were delayed. So last year it was during the month of March, but we promise that we'll be expedient in processing these applications. The applications are available right here at this URL, and you're going to sign up for an account if you don't have one already. We'll be announcing those decisions in the month of April. We need a little bit of time to review all of the applications, and we'll be getting back to everyone in as timely a manner as possible. And it's important to note that if your application is requesting an amount above $20,000, if you're awarded an amount above $20,000, that threshold requires approval from the Monroe County Legislature. Any contract between the county and an outside organization over and above $20,000 does require the approval of our legislature. So that adds a little bit more time to the process. Let's talk about eligibility. So the guidelines are pretty clearly laid out here. Your event or festival, if it's related to Armistice Memorial or other recognized national patriotic observances, this may include festivals that recognize Independence Day, veterans, or celebrations of state, territorial, or national pride, among others. Events or festivals that commemorate historical events of county-wide interest and concern. This could include festivals that recognize the historical contributions of individuals or cultural organizations, or milestone anniversaries for organizations relevant to the county, among others. Notably, a couple of years ago, Monroe County celebrated its bicentennial. And I know many of our towns and villages and community organizations have celebrated milestone anniversaries in recent years or have some coming up. Events or festivals that provide for the maintenance and operation of a professional symphony or philharmonic orchestra, musical festival, or vocal, dance, drama, or performing arts troupe, group, or activity of any kind or nature. This may include festivals that showcase music, arts, or other performances, among others. And then finally, events or festivals that publicize the advantages of the county. This may include festivals that highlight the unique features of Monroe County or encourage tourism within Monroe County, among others. The language here isn't exactly conversational. It's a little bit of legalese, I believe, and I'm looking at you, Josh. I think it's drawn from what's written in county law, correct?
It's actually state law, so the county can't give grants, which are theoretically gifts, to entities unless they're from a specified list of state law, which these all apply to. So you'll get to, I'm sure in a minute, the festival or events that are not eligible. So something like, a free baseball tournament or something would not be included because sports events aren't listed.
Got it.
These are all specifically authorized by the state as things we can do. So that's why I tried that.
Thank you. Thanks, Josh. So yeah, that's why it doesn't sound exactly, this doesn't sound like marketing language. It sounds like, legalese, because these are the things that we can and can't do under the laws of the great state of New York. So let's talk about ineligibility. What festivals or events are not eligible for funding from the county? Parades, block parties, trade shows, conventions, conferences, workshops, etc. Indoor ticketed concerts, show, theatrical performances, exhibits, etc. Of course, if it's indoor, it's ticketed, it's more of a private type of an event. Hence that prohibition. If it's an annual luncheon, conference, or holiday party, class or family reunions, sports tournaments, running or cycling races, school or athletic leagues, etc. And finally, events hosted by other municipalities and governmental districts. Again, this is all according to state laws and regulations. Of course, when it comes to these are all individual contracts. As a county, we would be contracting with your organization to administer this support. So if it's an event hosted by another municipality or a government, a unit of government, that's ineligible. However, it could be something perhaps hosted by a local chamber of commerce or not-for-profit organization. Can I have a fiduciary organization apply on behalf of my organization? That's a no. All organizations must have their own legal standing. So if you're the host organization, you must be legally incorporated as an organization, as an entity in the state of New York.
And piggybacking off that, just for ease of going through the process, when you do your application, make sure that you put the legal entity and not the festival name as your legal organization. So if you're running the Monroe County Music Festival, don't put that as the organization. If your organization is, Monroe County Music Corporation, a nonprofit, New York nonprofit, put the actual legal name of the entity on the application. And on all insurance and everything you do going forward.
Thank you, Josh. That's an important clarification. We have had issues in past years where an entity applied using, it's the name of the festival. You're putting the name of the festival in the subject heading in the application, but your legal incorporated name is not there, and that created some challenges for us through the approval process. So yeah, as Josh said, you'll want to get out in front of that, make sure that you're crossing all your T's, dotting all your I's. This year, I'm excited to announce that there is $350,000 in funding made available by the county executive and the Monroe County Legislature for the festival program. Last year, it was $250,000. So it was a successful undertaking in past years, and we've opted to grow county support for the festival fund. Can I apply for in-kind support? This is a great question. In addition to the cash grant funding, you can also apply if you'd like to host your event at a county-owned facility like a lodge or shelter in a Monroe County park. You can, as part of this program, apply for waived or reduced rental fees. So that's a nice added benefit. The link here to monroecounty.gov/parks will take you right to the portal through which you can book a space, and you'll want to deal directly with the Parks Department with your inquiry, and you can let them know, I'm hosting this event or program. I'm applying for county festival funding. As part of this application, I'm also looking for some accommodations from the Parks Department. We at the staff level will work together with Parks to see that happens if your application is eligible and approved for support from this program. You can, so the $20,000 question, how much can you apply for through the program? You may request support at any level. So in your application, perhaps you can shoot for the moon. Final allocations, though, will be determined by our internal review committee and depend on many factors, including the number of organizations that apply. And any award, as I mentioned earlier, that goes above $20,000 must go in front of the Monroe County Legislature for their approval. And you'll want to keep in mind to the fact that I mentioned, there's $350,000 available for the program. So, don't ask for $350,000, I guess. But again, there's no drop down menu that requires you to select a certain bracket. You can give us a number that works with your budget. Insurance is an important piece of this discussion. So as part of the application process, you must provide proof of insurance in order just to qualify to apply. And we require 4 types of insurance. And it's all about liability. And I can look at Josh to talk through some of the legal terminology here. But general liability insurance for your event, that coverage must include up to $1 million for single limits of liability and $3 million in aggregate coverage. And you have to provide us with a certificate of insurance that your insurance agent can supply you with, and that would help you check that box in our application. Automobile liability insurance, you for each if there are vehicles involved in your event, you'll need liability insurance proven by a certificate, once again, that can be applied by your insurance agent, coverage of up to $1 million. But if you are applying and you don't own or rent any vehicles, then you can fill out a waiver affidavit that's included in the application. Josh, can I look at you and put you back in the hot seat to just kind of talk through this at a high level about the insurance requirement and why this is necessary and important?
Sure. I mean, the basic reason is because the county becomes a contractual partner through this grant. We could theoretically be named in a lawsuit if there's a car accident, if somebody had a slip and fall, was injured at the event. So we require all of these forms of insurance both to comply with our requirements and New York state law, which if you get under the workers' compensation and the disability benefits and paid leave. A lot of this you can get just from your insurance agent. If you send along the requirements to your insurance agent, they should be able to provide everything you need. And I want to be clear on two things. One, with the automobile liability, it also includes if you're using personal vehicles as part of the festival, that they're not owned by, say, the entity, but by the people who are running and working for the festival, we'd need automobile insurance. And then the second thing is Monroe County needs to be added as an additional insured on the general liability and automobile liability insurance so that we are covered under those insurance policies.
Thank you, Josh. The other two categories of insurance that we need proof of are workers' compensation insurance and then disability benefits and paid family leave benefits insurance. And these
you can get a waiver if you don't have employees. So you fill out the CE 200 form.
Thank you. And that is available. I'm going to highlight it right down here. CE 200 form. I can click on it so you can see what it looks like. Certificate of attestation of exemption. And again, we set up, oh, sorry, Josh, go ahead.
And if the entity has employees, they should already have this insurance as required in New York law, so it shouldn't be an extra burden, hopefully.
Okay, thank you. And we have set up this year something that's a little different. We set up a special email portal, Festival and Arts Grant at monroecounty.gov. And we have a special phone number too, 753-2050, 585 area code. If you send an email to this email address, it will hit a handful of inboxes on county staff on the team that's working on administering this program. So someone will get back to you in a timely fashion. If you have a technical question, if you need help, if you need some extra hand-holding through the process, and certainly if you have any technical questions about these insurance requirements, send us a note or give us a phone call if you want to talk through it. We're here to help. And also language barriers too. If you need assistance in a language other than English, we have resources to support that as well. And I'm sorry that we're not doing this webinar here today in more than one language, but hopefully I think with the recording, we'll have closed captions. So we'll make sure that hopefully it is accessible for posterity's sake. Important dates and instructions. We did talk about the launch and the deadline. That's 5 p.m. So end of close of business on that Friday. In years past, well, the last couple of years that we've been doing this, we do receive, a flood of applications there at the very end of the application window. I am a natural procrastinator myself. I like to wait until the bitter end and the deadline, but on the other side of this, I would just say if you can get out in front of it and submit your application sooner, not only does that make it a little easier on the staff end, but it also increases the chances that we can sort out, you know, technical issues or questions with your application well in advance of like the decisions being made about funding. So you'll be better suited if you get it in a little earlier. The decisions will be announced, as I mentioned, in April. Essential information. So your event, here's some basic kind of ground rules. Your event or festival has to be taking place within this calendar year between January 1st and December 31st of 2025. That's also the county's fiscal year, is the calendar year. Your event also must, of course, take place within Monroe County's boundaries. It can't be in Wayne County or, you know, in Pennsylvania. It has to be in Monroe County in order to qualify for the program. Here's some additional legalese to point out for you. It's within the county's sole discretion to determine which events to fund, whether to approve recurring events, and to determine the level of support for every event. The county will review all applications, all factors listed in the webinar, the application, and on the county festival support website, and any other relevant information needed to determine. So just letting you know that these are obviously really hard decisions for us to make at the staff level. So there are a lot of worthy events, I'm sure, that, you know, will be applying, and we're going to have some tough choices to make, but we will be in communication with you throughout that process. Electronic submission. So we don't have a hard copy submission apparatus. I'm sure if you needed accommodation, if you really can't submit electronically, please reach out to us and we can try to work with you. But proposals shall be submitted via electronic submission on the county portal by the deadline of April 4th. Submissions that include an incomplete application or insufficient supporting documentation will be eliminated from consideration. So again, if you can get your application in the door far before the deadline, and if there is anything missing, we can communicate with you in advance so that you don't accidentally eliminate yourself from consideration. This is a reimbursement grant, so we're not giving you those dollars up front. The dollars are paid after your event has been held and upon submission to the county of paid receipts. Applicants should be prepared to provide their own funding for expenses that have to be paid before the event, but save those receipts. And again, about the in-kind support, you can apply for that in-kind support for waived fees through Monroe County shelters and lodges at our park systems. And that support's, of course, subject to availability and the completion of your application. But that support is more upfront in that you receive the reduced rate upfront when you're booking the lodge or shelter. And then finally, the review process. Internally at the staff level, I'm very grateful to have, obviously, Josh, who you see on the screen, will be assisting me, and Julie Vista, who's behind the scenes. And then we have some very talented support staff in the county executive's office. Caroline Delaney supported this effort last year. She'll be lending her expertise to the team this year. And we have a couple of other members of our team here in planning and development that have generously set aside some time in April to make sure that they're dedicated to this process. They've got time to review the applications in depth, communicate with applicants about any follow-up questions. So it'll be a detailed review process. We're also going to look to gather information from external stakeholders. So we might contact you, the applicant, other community groups. And again, all funding over $20,000 is subject to the county legislature's final approval. And this is the third time in this FAQ page that it's reiterated that the funds are limited to $350,000. So again, try not to apply for $350,000 in your application. So I'm gonna scroll back up here to the top and just remind you that these FAQs are all up on monroecounty.gov/festival funding. And you can hit this green button to start your application. And I want to open it up for any questions before I dive into the application itself. I'm not sure if I'm
And if you didn't catch the URL, if you just search on Google Monroe County Festival Grant, it'll take you right to the page. So.
Thank you, Josh. Search engine optimization. I'm going to go right ahead then and start an application. I have already taken the liberty before we jumped on the call of like signing up and creating an account. It's a dummy application. So I'm not going to click, well, I'll click on this. So you click apply online, and this is where you can start a new application. So you can see that just this morning, I began an application and I did not finish it. So hopefully it's user friendly. So when you click on that application, it takes you to this page. Again, it reminds you in this red banner that the deadline is April 4th at 5 p.m. There are 6 sections to the application, and there's also a printable version. So again, if you need some accommodation, want to handwrite the inputs in the application, you want to submit it hard copy, reach out to us. We can work with you on that. We'll go through eligibility. So this is really important. This is the gatekeeping where we go into, Josh mentioned earlier the importance of noting your legal incorporated name in your application. Of course, we talked about the insurance requirements. Those are basic table stakes that need to be reflected here in the eligibility portion of the application. And so here you're going to certify that you understand the eligibility criteria. You're going to certify that you've read it. You affirm that you are abiding by this eligibility criteria in some way. Criteria 2, I didn't mention this earlier, but it's important that your event has a free, open to the public component for Monroe County residents, and enhances quality of life, provides entertainment, other leisure activities, promotes local economic health, attracts visitors, and contributes to the dynamic atmosphere of the community. So your event or festival must have a free, open to the public component to it. So think about, the Jazz Festival always has wonderful, publicly accessible, free concerts, but there are also ticketed aspects of the Jazz Festival. So because the Jazz Festival has so much free, open to the public entertainment, it therefore is eligible for this program. And then additional affirmations. Again, checking these boxes shows that you are certifying that your event or festival is eligible for this program. You're affirming that it's abides by all of this various criteria, and you all are also affirming that it's not a parade, not a block party, not a trade show, convention, conference, not an indoor ticketed concert or sports event or class reunion, etc. And then here you're gonna understand that if your application is selected, the funding's contingent on your ability to prove that general liability insurance and other insurance in those other categories, automobile, workers' comp, and disability, And once again, the waiver form is downloadable here, and those other additional links are also available here, including that one, the CE 200, which is like if you don't have any employees, you therefore don't need workers' comp insurance, so you can get that waiver. So here I'm gonna select that I've yes, 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 yes. Although I think I can probably advance along without doing this, but I'm just trying to play it safe. Out of respect for everyone on the call. Okay, so eligibility is saved and complete. So you get a big green check mark there. Organizational information. Here's where we officially talk about your LLC, your official name. What is the official name of the event? And what is the legal name of the organization name that will hold the contract with Monroe County? So in my role as director of planning and development, I work with a lot of businesses on, expansion projects. And when they apply for benefits through the Industrial Development Agency, the company might be called, Acme Widgets, but like their LLC is something very different. It could be like their address, like 100 Main Street LLC or something like that. So your festival might be, the Main Street Arts and Cultural Fair, but you are the Main Street Chamber of Commerce LLC or something like that. So it's important that in this field here, you give us your festival or event name. And in this field, you're giving us your legal organizational name. And here there's a helpful link in the great state of New York, which loves directories and registrations, and make sure that everybody's checking all the boxes. The Department of State in the great state of New York keeps a registry of all government recognized LLCs and entities. So apps.dos.ny.gov/public inquiry. This link is accessible from the application page. Oh, I see a question. I'm sorry. Oh, Molly, thank you. Chris Raposa raised his hand, and there is a Q&A question too. So I would love, oh, here's the Q&A. I'm so sorry. This is the first time that I've ever done a Zoom from this vantage point. So I'm sorry I didn't see that notification pop up. One anonymous attendee says, can you share how many applications you received last year? And that question also came up from another person. Last year, I think, let me see if I check my notes. Josh, do you know offhand how many we received last year?
No, I don't, because I came in after the application process.
Yeah. I think it looks like based on what I'm looking at, we got at least a couple of dozen. So not like hundreds, but more than the number of festivals and events that you might more than I knew took place in Monroe County in a given year. So probably not quite 30, but around that number. Another question that came up is there other documentation that can be provided to prove incorporation status if we cannot find our organization in the New York State Department of State database that's linked in the application? Josh, do you happen to know the answer to that question?
There's got to be, with U of R, they've got to have something, and I'm sure that might have been created by, New York State education law or something related. There's got to be some kind of proof that that your legal department should be able to provide. I'm guessing that won't apply to most of the entities, but something like U of R, I'd just contact the legal department because they've got to have something that you can upload.
Okay. So
And you can have
That's
them
a,
reach out to me direct, anyone can reach out to me directly. Um,
okay,
if their
all
legal
right,
team wants to reach out
fantastic.
to me, we can figure that out.
Okay, so the answer to that question from Molly is we will work with you directly. I can reach out to you offline after this, and it sounds like you can cross you can check with the legal department at the University of Rochester. And Chris Raposa said that the chat is not currently on, which I think I don't know how to fix that, but I know that the Q&A is on. So hopefully it's possible for everyone to utilize the question and answer portal. But on the back end here, I'm going to ask Allison Shirtliff and our communications team to double check and see if we can open the chat for participant use. And I'm going to dive back in here and I'll continue checking the Q&A to make sure that I'm answering questions. So I answered the anonymous questions about number of applications, and we answered Molly's question as well. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. Here is where you include, like, what is your type of organization? Here's where you upload those documents. Are you a corporation? Are you a limited liability company? And then you provide us with your very basic contact information. I'm just going to check a box just to, there we go. Yes. Save and continue. Oops. There we go. Uh-oh. Okay, so here I accidentally included errors, and you can see that the smart application prompts you automatically if there are errors. So I'm going to say this is the Main Street Festival. And I haven't uploaded any documents. I'm just going to save and continue, and then I'm going to go back to the application sections to show you. So it tells you that there are errors, so you can go back and fix them. Community, economic, and cultural impact. Here's where you're going to have to submit a little bit of thoughtful homework to us. Here we want to know maximum of 300 words, so you don't have to wax too poetic here, but explain the impact that your event has on the community, including its primary purpose. That is music, arts and crafts, social, family, cultural, etc. So here's where you give us your elevator pitch on why is it that your festival or your event is wonderful and special and is deserving of Monroe County support. And then here you're going to select the criteria that your event meets. And again, eligible events must meet one or more of the following criteria. Again, these are the criteria under New York state law that allow the county to provide financial resources to your organization for a festival or an event. And then you have to go a little bit further. You can't just check the box. Give us an explanation. And then we talked about the necessity of including a free publicly accessible component. Here is where we ask you to describe that free offering or component associated with your event. Like Trombone Shorty closing out the jazz festival, something like that. And then describe the location where the event takes place and explain why it is important or beneficial to the community for the event to be held in that location. And then here we talk about economic and cultural impact. These are categories that allow staff to cross-reference and determine, which events are bigger than others. Explain the economic impact that your event has on the county, and if possible, include data on items like number and demographic breakdown of attendees, local businesses participating, amount of money infused into the local economy, et cetera. You don't need to submit a fully fleshed out economic impact report, but to what extent you have data available, please do share it. And likewise with cultural impact, we want to know, how is your event incorporating diversity, equity, and inclusion? And we want to understand any actions, commitments, or accessibility features taken to support the diverse communities in Monroe County. And I do see, I think we have another question in the chat. Oops, excuse me. In the Q&A. If employees use their own cars to commute to the festival, do we provide proof of their insurance or proof of organizational insurance coverage for automobile liability, or COI? Josh, take it away.
No, if they're using it to just transport themselves, that would be like, you don't require your employees at a business to provide proof of insurance. If they are using their vehicles to, say, transport materials and bring stuff and be involved in the actual actions of the festival, then they'd need not just personal insurance, but business insurance. So I would try to avoid that if you're using individual personal vehicles as opposed to business vehicles.
Okay, thank you for that. And the next question is the funding a one-time grant or is it renewable? We do, so if your event is a recurring event, we would ask you to continue applying in future years. We would not approve you in this particular cycle for next year, or like for a recurring amount of money. So technically, yes, it is a one-time grant, although past recipients have been annual events that take place more than just once. Josh, do you have anything you could add to that to flesh it out further?
I mean, it's a one-time grant, so you'd have to apply next year, start over, and be judged against all other applicants.
Thank you. Again, if you have other questions, please pop them into the Q&A application. So I'm going to save and continue, even though I did not finish that section. So you can see it says, hey, Anna, there's errors there. You didn't fill anything out. But I'm taking you into community support and viability, section 4. Again, more homework for you to work on and submit to us. Event feasibility and success. Provide names and titles of the event's main coordinators, promoter, major subcontractors, vendors, board members, if applicable, neighborhood group leaders, if applicable, etc., and describe the relevant experience for each. So here, do your very best to give us the names of all the folks, the relevant individuals and organizations that are involved in your event. But if you have questions about whether or not someone or some entity should or should not be included, just reach out to us. And then furthermore, community support. Those of you on the call may or may not have applied for grants in the past. It always helps to get a letter of recommendation, a letter of support. Here's the portal through which you can provide evidence of support from the community in the form of letters or written statements from relevant sources like neighborhood organizations, associations, business associations, or other stakeholders in the neighborhood who support the event. This could be as simple as, PDF, an email that you have received from a supporting entity or individual. We don't have hard and fast rules and regulations around how support should be conveyed and communicated, but it's great to cast a wide net, make sure that you show us how popular and special and revered your event or festival is. That never hurts. And then event history. Has your event ever been held before? Yes or no? Is this the first go around, or is this a long-standing event? And then here is more, we're asking, this is where we max out at 1,000 words. So you can wax a little poetic in this section. Provide a detailed description of the event, including duration, hours, anticipated street closures, number of vendors, types of vendors, number of stages and performances, etc. further 500-word max, provide information on the event's organizational structure, its promoter, producer, community group, board, and logistics staff, etc. So this field here can, in some manner, mirror or flesh out what's in this particular field. This application portal will check the box that you filled this out if you just put, like, random text in this box. So you could say, like, see above in section 1 or something to that effect if you feel that this field has answered this prompt. But again, try to give us more information rather than less information, because then we don't have to reach back out to you with clarifying questions. Save and continue with errors, of course. So that was section 4. And section 5, here's again, I said earlier, the $20,000 question. Please affirm that the following related statements related to funding for this festival or event. Please affirm the following. I'm sorry. So this is a typo here in our application. You heard it here first. I affirm that the event is willing to be audited by the county or by a third-party auditor. This, again, is protecting the county from risk. I affirm that if selected for funding, the event agreement and supporting documentation will be returned to the county within 20 days of receipt. And I affirm that if required by the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, a New York State licensed security company will be employed. And this is, I think, and Josh, I'm looking at you, security is required for events of a certain size and scope. Is that correct?
Yeah,
law?
as far as I know, and I think that's just with all festivals, probably having to do with permitting for the festivals as well.
Right.
But if you don't abide by that, you will not get your grant or be eligible for the grant.
Okay. Thank you. And then here you have a max 100 words to ask for dollar amount. So again, keeping in mind that this is a $350,000 grant program. Those are all of the dollars that are available for all of the organizations that are eligible to receive a grant. And again, keeping in mind that if you ask for more than $20,000, that individual contract would need to go through the process of approval by the Monroe County Legislature. So if you request fewer than $20,000, then that is a more simple path forward. We have one question in the Q&A. What are some successful projects you funded in the past? This is a great question. So on the grander scale, we have funded the Fringe Festival and the Jazz Festival. So those are examples of big ticket items, larger festivals that the county has provided support for. I'm just going through some examples. Refugees Helping Refugees hosted a World Refugee Day celebration last year. And that was one that the county in the past had not provided support for. And we do a lot of work with Refugees Helping Refugees through DHS and through my department. And it was really special for us to be able to contract with them for something more celebratory. And the Rock the Eclipse Festival is a great, that was a one-off. Last year was the total eclipse. Of course, it was a very cloudy day that day, but it was a really exciting day in Monroe County. We got a lot of visitors from all over the world. But we provided significant support to the Rochester Museum and Science Center to help the Rock the Eclipse Festival be successful. And then it allows the county to be able to own some piece of something exciting that is beneficial to the broader community in terms of tourism. And I'll share one other example. The Maker Faire, the Rochester Maker Faire, is an annual successful program. Oh, thank you, Julie. She's providing, Julie, this guy on my team just handed me a spec sheet with some other examples that I can share. So that World Refugee Day celebration that we noted, they requested $3,000, so pretty small request, and we were able to honor that. The Rock the Eclipse Festival, we provided $20,000, and as part of the application, you're required to list how much is the total cost or total budget of your event, and then so that we can understand how does your request measure up to the total budget. We don't want to be the sole funder of the event or festival. So I hope those are some helpful examples. There are a number of organizations on this list that just run the gamut. I mean, I'm not sure how many of you guys know about the Hilton Apple Festival. We supported that. The Rochester Juneteenth Festival last year, Fairport Canal Days. Again, off the top of the call, I mentioned this is a festival town, so there are a lot of worthy events and programs in our community. So another question was, what was the total budget of an event like Rock the Eclipse that requested $20,000? So Rock the Eclipse's total budget, according to what was in the application, was a little shy of $500,000. So, that was you can do the math there and understand that, $20,000 is, I think, according to this math on the sheet, don't quote me, 4%. So I hope that helps. So if you're asking for significant resources, know that we will want to see that request juxtaposed with the total budget of your event. We want to understand that we are not the sole funder, that there are many other sources of funds for your program. Another question, what specific goals or initiatives is your organization focusing on this year? We didn't step into this process with any notably different missions or goals this year versus last year. I mentioned off the top of the webinar that the goal here is to make sure that precious county resources dedicated to festivals and events are spread out across as many worthy, vibrant, publicly accessible events as possible in this wonderful place where we have so many events and festivals. For many years before my boss started in his job, as I understand it, the county did not approach it in this manner, and it was a little bit more, you had to have certain relationships in order to get in front of decision makers and see that your program or event received some county support. This is a more equitable process. So I guess I would say equity is a big focus here. We want to make sure that we're getting out in front of as many organizations as possible. Another question is, I want to get securing our certificates of insurance underway right now. What is the official Monroe County address as the other insured that we should ask our insurance companies to enter? Josh, is that?
It's 39, what is it, 39 Monroe County?
West Main Street.
West
Yeah.
Main
So
Street.
it's
I'm looking for 146, what is that, 14614, 39 West Main Street.
Thank you. Julie confirmed and nodded. 39 West Main Street. Yes, 14614. That's the county office building. My office, for reference, is like right across the street from the county office building. I'm over in City Place, in another county facility. So we technically have a different mailing address here, but yes, you would be the county law department where Josh is sitting is right there at 39 West Main. Thank you for that very good technical question. I'm going to dive back in here while we have just a few more minutes. So again, we want to know with your funding request, how does it compare to the total budget? If you're asking for $20,000, how does that measure up to the total budget? We have a template here for you in Excel format. Oops, sorry. It just opened up on my computer. So you're going to open this up in Excel and you're going to fill out the numbers to the best of your ability. And it's pretty straightforward. If you have questions, if you need assistance, just reach out to us and we can try to walk you through it. And then county recognition. This is where if we're going to provide you with support, we would love to be recognized as the county in some way as a supporter. So in 500 words or fewer, we'll ask you to share your marketing and PR plan to the best of your ability and share with us how might you recognize and acknowledge county support as part of this promotion plan. And I'm not sure, did I get another question? I think I did. No, I did not. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to save and continue. And I'll try to rattle through the last piece of it. So the final section is review criteria. So you're going to do another read through and affirmation, checking some boxes and save and continue. And then once all sections are completed without errors, you will be able to submit your application here. So I have errors in these boxes, so I don't have the ability in this dummy application to hit submit, but you will be able to click on a button here in this portal that will submit the application, and you can print it out as well. And then if you're nervous that it didn't go through or there may have been errors, again, contact us for confirmation. I'm the type of person I need affirmation. I need to know that it worked out. So, go back to where Festival and Arts Grants at Festival and Arts Grant, singular, at monroecounty.gov or 753-2050. And we will let you know that yes, indeed, we did receive your application, or no, that came through with errors, or no, we didn't receive it. So please know that we want to be in communication with you. And that about covers it. I hope I did it justice. I want to open it up for more questions. It's 3:59 and it's Friday, so I want to be sensitive to all of your time. Are there any other questions? And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to try to cover as much remaining ground as possible if there are other questions or concerns. I'm not sure how many of you on the call dealt with BJ last year, but I'm trying. He left big shoes for me to fill. So thanks for bearing with me. Also, Don Crum was in our law department last year, and he facilitated this process. Josh is new to the application, the grants program, as am I. So, thanks again. And we love our jobs. We love being public servants, giving back to the community. We love Rochester. We love Monroe County. We appreciate all of you and the work that you're doing behind the scenes to make Monroe County such a wonderful and vibrant place. And thanks for considering, allowing us to partner with you. I'm not seeing any additional questions. So I'm going to go ahead and, well, first I'll ask Josh, is there any ground that I did not cover, from a law department perspective?
No, you covered everything.
Okay. It was nice to communicate with all of you. I'm sorry that it was one-sided. I look forward to hopefully meeting some of you, many of you, most of you, all of you in the future. And we look forward to reviewing your applications and touching base with you afterwards, after this call with any questions. And this webinar recording will be posted up on the county website, so you'll be able to review it and share it as well.